So for this video, we're going to be looking at volume. Now, this was something that we did not do back in Unit 3. I wanted to save it until we got closer to the EOC because it would help us review as well a little bit with circles. So I want to talk about how to find the volume of different figures. Now, if you notice on the screen at the top, I have a general formula for finding the volume of any shape. Okay, your general formula is volume equals area of the base times the height. So I want to remind you what volume is and what area is. So remember, area is how much something covers. Okay, so if I ask for the area of a room, okay, that would be, 24 feet squared or 39 yards squared. Okay, those are how many square feet. Okay, so like a square that is 1 foot all the way around, how many square feet will cover that room? Okay, so we generally use area when we're talking about replacing carpet or replacing tile. How much square footage of it do we need to cover the entire room? But volume adds in another dimension. Okay, so instead of just length times width to cover something, we are adding in a dimension of height to fill something up. So when we talk about finding the volume of a glass, we're talking about how much will cover the base of it and then how much will fill it up. Okay, so the area of the base times the height. Okay, so think about, we'll use the glass example. Okay, so say you've got a glass, that's a cylinder. Okay, not the best cylinder drawn in the world, but let's say that the base, we know that the area of the base is 2 pi, okay? So we're going to keep it in terms of pi, at least for now. And then we know that the height is 4. So if I asked how much water would fill up this glass to the top, you would take the amount that would cover the base, 2 pi, multiply it times the height, which is 4, and the total volume would be 8 pi. Now at the bottom are the actual formulas that you get on your formula sheet. So if you have your formula sheet, get that out and make sure that you look at these formulas. You may even want to copy them down because I'm going to be referring back to them as I go through the rest of the video. So look at for a cylinder, I just did this one. The volume is equal to pi r squared h. Okay, then look at a pyramid. You notice that the volume is 1/3 base times height. Okay, but notice that the B means the area of the base, which is length times width. So for a pyramid, you have this base, okay, that is shaped like a square or possibly a rectangle right here. So how much would cover it? And then you multiply that times the height, and that would give you, if this were a rectangular prism, and then we multiply it times 1/3, and that takes it away from being a prism to being a pyramid. Okay, so your formula is 1/3 area of the base, which is length times width times the height. Cone, same thing. You're really finding the area of a cone or of a cylinder that has the same base. That's the same formula up here, pi r squared times height, and then you're multiplying it times 1/3 because it isn't a full cylinder. Instead, it's a cone. It's tapered in. It has a point. Okay, so that 1/3 is for any cone shape or pyramid shape or something that has a point on one end. It isn't flat on the other end. And then a sphere has a totally different formula. It doesn't tie in with any of the others. It is volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. So let's use a couple of these formulas just so that you understand what they are. So here we have, what is the volume of a cone? So we just talked about volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared times the height. Okay, so I notice that I have my radius is 3, and I have that my height is 6. So all I have to do is plug this into the formula. So volume equals 1/3 pi 3 squared times 6. Okay, so volume equals, we know that the 3 squared is 9, so times 6 is 54. So 1/3 pi 54, and in your calculator we're going to leave pi alone. You do 1/3 times 54, and you get that volume equals 18 pi. And that is the volume of that cone left in terms of pi. Sometimes you'll be asked to leave it in terms of pi, especially when it's a problem that has no context. Okay. Other times, if it's a word problem, like what is the volume of this ice cream cone or something like that, then you would multiply pi out. So let's look at another example. What is the volume of the rectangular prism? Okay, now you did these back in middle school, so this should not be a big deal. Technically, it doesn't have a formula on your formula sheet, but you know that the formula is area of the base times the height. So area of the base times the height. So I know that I can count, this is my base, so 3 times 2 times the height, which is 6. So volume equals 6 times 6, which is 36. It didn't give any dimensions or units, so it'd just be volume equals 36. So that's it. Okay, then what about one that has units? What is the volume of a sphere with a diameter of 12 inches? Okay, so the volume formula for a sphere is volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. Well, if my diameter is 12, then my radius is 6 inches, because we know the radius is half of the diameter. So volume equals 4/3 pi, and then 6 cubed. So 6 cubed is 216, so I have volume equals 4/3 pi 216. So in my calculator, I'm gonna leave pi and do 4/3 times 216, and I get 288. So with that simplified, I know that my answer is 288 pi, and your units for volume are always whatever it is cubed, okay? Because we're talking about 3 dimensions, so we have inches cubed. Remember, area is inches squared, and then volume is inches cubed. And that's it for this video. We're going to talk more about the applications in class.